Well, hello, everybody. Welcome to Speaker Insight, where we help speakers, authors, and coaches to build a business on your terms. This is Kelly.
Hello.
I'm Helena. And this is the lovely Amanda. And before we say hello to the lovely Amanda fully and properly, we're going to allow people to kind of come on here and actually tell you a little bit about the buzz in our business. For those of you who are watching on the replay, do a hashtag replay for us, even if it's weeks or months after this one's actually kind of present for you, because that's what we're finding is that actually it's useful at any time. So we like to know what shows up for you. Today, the buzz in our business is we are fresh off the back of the Speaker Insight retreat.
I'm a bit tired. I don't know about fresh.
It's a good point, well made. We're a bit like, wow, that was a really good retreat. But yeah, quietly buzzing. Let's go with quietly buzzing. The Speaker Insight retreat, where, you know, honestly, we take 8 people, we put them through their paces, and some have come out with entirely different looking businesses, but they're all speakers, authors, and coaches who are very, very happy this week. And probably a bit tired.
They often say, this is the feedback that we get from the retreat, is that, why did you name it a retreat when it's a boot camp?
which actually we're actually quite pleased with nonetheless, because honestly the amount of energy and attention to detail that we actually put into it and that people get out of it is phenomenal. So Kelly is the other thing is that obviously in the Connection Hub, lots and lots of things have been going on over the weekend. So if you aren't a member in the Connection Hub, which is where the real kind of conversations happen, then please come and join us in there. We love it when you watch, whether you watch on Speaker Insight or inside the Connection Hub or inside Changemaker. But our invitation to you is if you want to actually have a conversation with us about being a speaker, author, or coach, and meet your peers and all the people who support those types of people, then come inside the Connection Hub and have a little conversation there.
I'll put the link in the comments. I'm not looking away, guys. I'm on another laptop here. We've swapped laptops for today.
We're kind of freaking out a bit.
She's on my Mac. I'm on her PC.
So both of us are like freaking out a little bit. But the other thing that
Joe's buzz, the buzz in her business, is the amazing Speaker Insight retreat she came on last weekend. It was definitely a boot camp.
It is. Oh well, there you go. There you have it from Joe's mouth. It is definitely a boot camp. But the other thing that we are actually preparing for and looking forward to in terms of buzz in our business is some of you may already have been on the Connect and Create days, which is the days on which we hold kind of one day, gather together some of the speakers, authors, and coaches that are either in Changemaker or inside the Connection Hub, and just really invite you to come and do the work. Like meet your peers, get stimulation, connection, inspiration, and then also get your head down and actually do some work and get some one-to-one coaching from us.
So have fun and get stuff done in one day.
That's how it works. So Kelly's no doubt already put
all
the link in.
The retreat's in there, the Connection Hub's in there, and the Connect and Create days in there. If you want to join any of them, just check out the links.
Cool. And the reason that I was kind of like speaking for that much time was because we went live a little bit early today.
2 minutes early today.
Like, so we thought a little bit of filler time before we introduce you to this magnificent woman in our lives. So some of you have actually commented on the photos of Kelly and I and how we actually got those done. Well, this is the person who is responsible. So we thought we would actually do this Facebook Live on why good photography matters. And of course, why would we not introduce you to the person that's actually created and
lots of our clients, right?
Indeed.
How many you've worked with so many of our clients, Amanda? It's amazing.
It's amazing. So let me introduce you to the beautiful Amanda Clarke, Amanda Clarke Photography. And let me just kick you off with tell us a little bit about yourself and what type of photography do you actually specialise in?
Thank you, Helena. I specialise in portrait and personal branding photography for entrepreneurs, mainly lots of speakers, authors, and coaches. So for lots of people in the hub and Speaker Insight and things like that. So I have worked with lots of your clients already. I've been doing photography for a really long time. I first studied photography when I was at college and then didn't end up going into photography at the time and went back into it when I was living in America when I was 40 years old. So it was quite a while later that I actually went back into it, you know, and then started to do it full time. So,
and, you know, what I really, really love about that is that you are definitely a demonstration of people doing what they really love. Because what I also know about that story is that when you studied photography, it wasn't that you fell out of love with it or anything else. It was actually you just didn't enjoy all the darkroom and back of scenes kind of stuff. You loved taking the photos. But actually, now that technology allows you to simply take the photos and do it differently, suddenly you can be fully in love with the whole of it, and you've made a business out of that. And that's actually what we speak about so much of the time, is how do you take the thing that you're really good at, take the thing that you're passionate about, and actually turn that into a business. So I really love that, like, you're living your dreams because technology caught up with you.
Yeah, and it's really funny because when I originally studied photography, I loved everything about it. I loved watching how the light was in the images and everything about taking the photographs. And the darkroom process kind of interested me, but it was a different world then. It was filled with a lot of men. It was very difficult to break through at the time as a young woman who wanted to be a photographer, and I just didn't enjoy the world at that time. I definitely wasn't ready to be a photographer then anyway. And when you think about what it involves, photography, a very small part of photography, I believe, is actually clicking the camera and knowing the tech, you know, the technology behind it and how it works. A big part of it is actually being able to understand the person on the other side of the camera and how that feels. So maybe if I had done it then, I would have not been at the same place as when I picked it up again. So sometimes it's for a reason.
Yeah, and we know that. That's why, you know, when we refer you to our clients, I think the thing that's different, you know, there are lots of photographers out there, there are lots of headshot people out there, but the thing that we found with all of our clients that have worked with you is that they've said, she made me feel at ease in front of the camera, even when I don't like the way that I look, even though I've never had a good picture of myself. The way that you interact with them, because you've got this getting to know them, this real warm, you understand their brand before you just take the pictures. You understand the purpose of the pictures before you take the pictures. So therefore, they feel really comfortable, and it's not this posed look. It's really natural. You get them in their real essence, and their personality comes across.
Yeah, and I think you understand their business as well. I think one of the things that we love about you is that you have enough curiosity and care about the person in front of you to actually really understand them, and that understanding is why you end up getting such an array of really great photos that people just pick. Are you feeling good about yourself right now? You should.
Well, there's a couple of things that are really interesting there, and one of them is that what I love about my job the most is that I get to work with the most interesting, amazing people that do such a variety of things. So that's why I feel so privileged that I get to work with so many different people, and I'm usually fascinated about what I'm learning on that day. So, although I'm supposed to be there taking their photographs, I'm usually just having an amazing time and finding out more about them, and I'm usually intrigued about what they do as well. So that's what makes what I do not seem like a job, if that makes sense.
Yeah, we love it. It's your life. Same as us, right? We get to manage people and coaches, and we learn stuff from them all the time. We're in their world. It's like, yeah, it's great. It's awesome.
And the other thing,
we do get paid to learn.
And the other thing that's exciting for me is that quite often the people I work with come back and work with me again. And then I already know them, and I get to know them more, and we get to develop their personality through their images, through working with them again. And when I'm super lucky, then they also send other people that they know and love to me. So that's why I'm really lucky to do what I do.
And what I love about that, in case anybody didn't catch it, so I'm going to punctuate it and say, you know, just because you got your photo shoot done, you know, last year or 4 years ago or whatever it is, as you grow and change, as your audience shifts a little bit, as you shift a little bit, you do need to kind of keep updating. So I love this fact that people do keep coming back to you, because actually updating your images can really support you in continuing your brand.
I spoke to Amanda at Christmas because we had our photo shoot last year, and now I've cut my hair.
I know.
So now I need loads of new photos.
Okay, so
tell the photos, as Helena said, they're important, right? They're the first impression that people have of you when they come to you online, if they're going to meet you online. So that's when you that warmth, that personality, when you are the brand, you've got to make that first impression, and professional photographs do it. Not only because you position yourself as having looking really good, but also the brand, the feel, the personality, the style comes through on those photographs too. However, I think a lot of people think, oh yeah, one day I'll have some professional photographs. So can you just give us a bit of an understanding, so people understand the ROI of having a photo shoot with anybody? Where could you use professional photos, rather than just people just think, oh, it's on my website? How can people get the most out of a photo shoot and the assets they come away with?
Lots of people that I work with need their photos primarily for their website, because I've got to launch my website. They're using probably selfies and photos like that, maybe on their social, which they're quite happy with. But they really want some professional photos for their website. So that's when people will be there. I've got to come to you because I'm updating my website, and I've been told by my designer I need some photos. And that's when people will come to me, because they're kind of been forced that they've got to make that step. But having great photos for your social media is a really good way to kind of boost your engagement there, because when people see a great image of you, they're drawn to it, and they're kind of like more curious about what that is. So you can use that to help create graphics. If you use things like Canva, you can use your images to add things onto them and announce when you're going to do things. They're also great for your speaker profile and things like that. So when someone asks you to speak, or when someone's looking for someone to speak at an event, if you've got a really great pack that shows them with really good images, that's going to be a really great way for you to attract their attention and to think, oh, this is going to be a good person to speak at my event. I know people often like a nice image for their book, or for their back of their book cover. Video stills as well. If you're creating a course or something, it's really nice to have nice stills for intro slides and things like that. And business cards as well. It can be a good way of getting you remembered. It's not everyone's cup of tea to have an image on a business card, but in a crowded room of a lot of people, it can be an extra way of getting someone to remember you by having your image on a business card. So and also banners, pull out banners and things for events. If you're a speaker, having a great image for one of those is also really useful. And I think that's quite a lot of the places that I know my clients use the images.
I suspect that there's going to be people on either the replay or even live who are going to go back to this and just go, pause. What did she say? What did she say?
And also, if you are a speaker or author, if say, for example, when we manage them as in Stellar Speakers, we have like a media pack in there. So if you have got, say, for example, PR happening, they can go to your high-res image of your photos and actually just pick out some photos that they want to actually put in that article that they're doing. PR as well. So all of these things are, and they can be repurposed, right? That's the thing. We actually use some of our images and we put them in social posts as well as on our website. So it's like you've got two for the price of one.
Totally.
But you actually just design it, as you said, with Canva around it, so it looks slightly different, but the image is still the same. So I think when I on just one day photo shoot.
Completely.
And when I work with clients as well, I always try and encourage them to bring more looks, more outfits, so that they get the best benefit from the shoot, because the more different looks they've got, people aren't going to necessarily know those images were all taken on the same day. And it means you've just got a lot more variety and a lot more choice to use in your posts and the things that you use the images for.
Yeah. So I know that you are, and we've alluded to this already. I know you're really good at this bit, but tell us about some of the biggest concerns that you've heard people kind of bring to you about, oh God, I'm gonna have my photos taken. What shows up? And
okay, so I think this for me is the most important thing that I have to say, because so many people, I would say 95% of people do not want to come and have their photograph taken. There are very few people, I can probably name them, and they're probably this many, that actually are going, oh yeah, I've got a photo shoot today, great, I can't wait. The rest of people are kind of like really, really nervous about it. And I had one particular client recently who actually cancelled 3 times and nearly didn't come at all. I nearly was never going to work with her again. And she was just so frightened of coming to have her photograph taken, and then shared afterwards how, you know, she had totally changed her mind. She was happy. She was looking forward to doing another shoot already. It was all okay. And I think stories like that make me realise that that's what's made me decide that I have to sort of say this, because people think they're the only one that doesn't want to have their photo taken, and it is so not true.
What do you think it is that made her or him so scared?
So primarily people are self-conscious. They're self-conscious about their nose, their teeth, their face is too fat, they don't like their body image, they might be too fat, too thin, to this, to that. There's so many things, and you or I looking at a photo of that person will just say, there's someone with a lovely smile. You're not thinking that person's too fat, too thin, too this, too that. And what I've also tried to explain to some of my clients like that person that's looking and saying that person's too fat, too thin, you don't want to work with that person anyway. You want to work with the people that are saying that person's got a lovely smile. So that's why I think you've just got to kind of put yourself out there and get in front of the camera. Hopefully when people come and work with me, it's usually just a fun day. It's not like, oh, okay, we've got to do this photo shoot now, come on, let's go. We're just having a good time. So
and I think that's the fact, right? And that's what happens when you're focusing, when you're in the right energy of having your photos done and you're having a laugh, and it's not so staged and everything's like quite clinical. You are an expert at capturing people just at that second where they're in flow, when they're actually having a natural laugh. I mean, it is authentic.
It's like, you know when people talk about authenticity and using the right words and all of that kind of stuff, I think you captured the authenticity of a person in an image. I think that's what you're just brilliant at doing.
And one of the images we loved the most was actually we're both sitting on the floor and my dog decided to come and walk over to us. We were laughing our head off.
We should put
and that's
that
the
up.
one that we'll put it in the comments later, but that's the one that we love, and that's why it's actually, you get that energy, because we're always laughing and joking on our Facebook lives, and you know, even at the retreat, there's lots of our retreaters on at the moment, but we have a laugh. And so that's our brand, and I think that's what you capture with people, because you put them at ease. You just get them in surroundings. It could be, the photo shoot can be done in their own home, can't it? It can be done anywhere.
Absolutely.
And I think that's what really helps, and that's that essence that comes across. So people see the energy rather than the bits of what makes up that person. That's why they love the photos.
And I think any photographer should be in a position where they actually make you forget you and actually just allow you to be you, if that makes sense. So I think that's, and you manage that in droves.
Absolutely. And another thing is, I also do know a bit of the technical stuff and how to pose people as well. So that helps, because then I can say, oh, turn this way a little bit and lean forward. So, you know, we're not going to go like this. And so
we appreciate that tremendously.
So there are some technical things, but I try to sort of keep them in a natural way, so it's not all about the technicalities of it all.
Yeah, I get that. So tell us a bit about, because obviously, and we know this, and I know that you loved working with us because of this, but what should people plan, or how can people plan and prepare before they even come to the shoot to make it seamless, effortless, enjoyable?
And also to get the most out of it in terms of the asset that they end up using.
Yeah, so the first thing I already mentioned was that it's really great to have some outfits planned out. Now, obviously, that will depend on, I do different types of shoots. So I do from like an hour headshot session to working with yourself, say, for a whole day. Yeah. So I do a variety of shoots, but within any of those shoots, we can do some different outfits, because having a couple of outfit changes will make the photos that you come away with more varied for you. So when you've got your couple of outfits, it's really good. If you're an accessories person and you like to wear various scarves, accessories, things like that, it's really good, yeah, to have accessories that match your particular outfits, and the suitable underwear as well, because I have had many a client turn up with the wrong underwear, or, you know, the wrong colour bra to go under the wrong top or something like that. So thinking about the outfit, but in terms of the whole outfit,
including shoes
and shoes and anything that you want to go with it as well. Yeah. So also thinking about how these outfits work with your brand or your brand style. Now, I'm not saying everything has to match. Yeah. Because, you know, you don't necessarily want to have a brand where you're only wearing one colour. You may do, and if you do, then bear that in mind. But you also might want to bear in mind to have things that match with your branding that you're going to use, so it blends nicely.
So, for example, you've got a strong burnt orange as a main colour of your brand. Really, you don't want to be wearing that top, because if you've got that as your background image on your website, you're going to blend in. So a nice strong black top would look really nice on top of that, even though black's not one of your colours. Yeah. So it's looking at things like that. Yeah.
So not everyone might have a brand style already, but if they have already developed sort of their own brand style, then that would be something that you might want to then include colours that you know look good on you. If you've ever had your colours done and you know that, you know, a certain colour looks great on you, or if you've got an outfit that someone always says, oh, you look fabulous, I love that top, bring it, you know. So things like that you don't always think of in terms of what you're going to wear for your outfit. Also thinking about the location. So depending on who your client is, you might be looking at a certain type of audience. So you want to find locations for your photo shoot that match with your audience. So it may be a very swish hotel, or it might be just, you know, coffee shop over the road type, very casual. So you're going to be looking.
If you're a retreat person, you might do it in nature, or, you know, in that sort of setting, for example.
Exactly.
And wait for it, here it comes.
What? Oh,
because we haven't actually said it yet, and we're a good 21 minutes in, because it's all about finding out where your avatar hangs out.
Like we say avatar on every single Facebook Live.
Yeah. But it is actually true. It's about really thinking about where does that person resonate with and relate to.
I'm just going to bring in Neil, right? He said he had his colours done and his new snazzy blue suit needs a photo shoot. That's some work for you there, Amanda.
Brilliant.
He looks like Kingpin meets the Joker. Not quite sure if that's the brand you're looking for, Neil.
Oh, anyway. Neil, I'm not sure about that, but we can do some tweaking, I feel. That's really fantastic. It'll be very snazzy, whatever happens. So
preparing a brief. Sorry, Helena, were you going to say something?
No, go for it.
I'll carry on. You've got me on a roll here. Preparing a brief. Kelly had a very detailed brief for me, of course. But it is amazing when someone comes and they know, and not everybody knows what they like. And that's fine too, because we will figure it out. But if you do know, I need an image for my homepage with space on the left. If you do know, I'm going to have two people, one at either end, and we're going to have things in the middle. Anything that you know that you need is great to have on a list. And then there can be other things that you might like to have. But if you know you need a new profile shot, you might also be working with somebody else. So you might know that you want some shots together, individual shots. I was working with Simon Jordan and Mark Compton yesterday, and so they're creating a course at the moment, video course, so they were having some photos together and some individually, so it might be, so it's a remembering to get all of the shots that you need in a bit of a shot list.
And I think the bits of advice that you gave us, Amanda, is that this is one thing that Helena put together. She put together a whole Instagram board of images that she'd seen of like people together, so girls back to back, and those types of scenarios. We had the in front of the brick wall one, not this brick wall, but another one. But we put together like a mood board of things, essences and styles that we like. Yeah. And then I matched it to the very clinical, which is how we work. The layout of the website. We'll need this shot here, and then you'll go, oh, I need a wide lens because that's going to be this size here. Yeah. And then, oh, we need this engagement. And then we went a step deeper and we went, okay, so we're going to launch this membership site. These are going to be our weekly posts. What's going to be our accountability post? What's going to be our this post? And then we did the fun shots, which aren't going to be on the website, but they're the engagement social media, us holding, whiteboards and things like that. Exactly. So we planned out everything.
Yeah, we really did. And part of that for me certainly was just actually going through, whose websites do I like the look of, whose social posts do I like the look of, and actually literally just putting them all on a Pinterest board or an Instagram, so that you can actually kind of save those off and go, here, I want to replicate some of that. And then as Kelly says, taking it that one step further about what might we want it for is a really useful thing. And I know you want to say something about this. I can see you.
I do, because not everybody's there, and that's okay too, because the first shoots that I start with people might not be where you're at, and they might just need a really good new profile image and a few fun shots to go in, and that is absolutely fine too. So I don't want people to think I've got to know all this list, because there's absolutely, you gave me the most detailed brief that I've probably ever had, so you're the other end of the spectrum. And
that's what we do, sort of like, here's the bar. But I absolutely agree with you, which is why doing that little mood board, because you may not actually even know, but you might like the look of some of your inspirations and everything else. So I'm going to say put that to good use.
Definitely.
Put it to good use and actually just go, this is what I actually want to.
And you don't have to share that with anybody. You could just share it with your photographer. You don't have to have it as a board that people can see. You can make it a private board, because you don't want to say, oh, I love this, I love that. You just want to keep your ideas to yourself, and you can just share that with your photographer, so you don't have to put that out there.
On the back-to-back shot, if I hadn't seen that inspiration of the Instagram post, because I was like, oh, that's a really nice, fun, but so you do that creative work beforehand. And I know really Joe Fellows is saying, will we share that brief in Changemaker Essentials? So
yes, we will
put it up, Joe. No
yes,
worries,
we will.
Change it.
So we've talked about planning. We've talked about where it might actually be. Have you got some top tips for the actual day for the shoot?
I do. I've got some top tips. There's nothing like being prepared, and although you might feel you're never going to be prepared on the day, it's really good if you're as prepared as you can be. So if you colour your hair or regularly get your hair cut, then it's really good to try and plan that in maybe a week before, so it's got time, a few days to settle in. If you have a colour, it's good to have a fairly fresh colour, not have had it done over a month ago, because in high definition, details do show up, so
waves will show through.
That's right.
And I've been there, I know what it's like. So it's good to have plan your shoot around your hair colour, any waxing or anything that that might need doing, a little bit of plucking.
So what's interesting for me about that, because I'm always going to come at it from this perspective, is that actually doing all of those things is such a high version of self-care that you can't help but feel amazing as well as look amazing. And actually, I think that translates as well, right?
Yeah, definitely. And, you feel more confident then, because you feel like you're looking your best. Yeah. For women, very often we don't worry so much for men, but for women, we'll usually recommend a professional hair and makeup artist, not not everybody decides to go with it, but particularly if you're not very confident in doing your own hair and makeup, it's really great to have somebody who's a professional come and do that. For men, we're usually fairly good with just sort of some powder, translucent powder or something like that. So we always.
Or do they have to bring it themselves?
Well, we can speak about that at the time. So with translucent powder, I usually have a translucent powder that works for most skin types. But yeah, so that's fine.
So the men know that they won't look like they're wearing makeup.
No, it just takes a bit of the shine away. So
you've got not much hair.
Yeah, that's right. You know, sort of like, especially if you are maturing.
Well, you know, even if you have got hair, sometimes you can still get a shiny forehead. Quite a lot of women might use a little bit of makeup that's just a bit of powder, but men tend to not have their own powder. It's so weird. I don't understand.
Unless you're my husband.
Yeah, fair enough. Yes.
But
with a couple of speakers who definitely needed a bit and always carried some around. But the point about this is that actually the better you feel about yourself, the better the shoot will go, because actually that just allows them to show up as natural as possible, you to bring your technical expertise so that you can actually capture them by putting them at ease, but then actually capturing them beautifully as well, right?
Yes, and something else that's going to be really important is, I'm going to say the word rest. So that you've had a good night's sleep and that you haven't had the craziest week from hell before you come. Plenty of water, not a big bender the night before. It's not ideal.
Yeah. Because hydration makes a massive difference, doesn't it?
Yeah, and you know, just to be sort of hydrated and not super tired is going to just, your face is going to look totally different. So that I would highly, highly recommend. And the other thing is allowing plenty of time for wherever you've got to arrive to be there. Because I've been at shoots before when people have turned up, they've been under pressure, they didn't know where they're going, they've got a bit lost, they're in a state, they're sweating, that, you know, it's a real stress if you're late and you're stressed and harassed. So allow plenty of time to get where you're going. Make sure you plan your journey ahead, because that's going to make a big difference. You're arriving there calm and refreshed and ready to go.
It's funny, I'm now thinking of photo shoots as pamper days. It really is a little bit like that, depending on how nervous you are, obviously, but certainly one with you feels like a pamper day anyway, so it's completely fine.
Definitely.
I know, it's so good.
And the other thing is, I would say, is speak to your photographer beforehand, because speaking to them gives you the opportunity to say, I don't like my nose. I definitely don't like any shots of me from the side. I much prefer sort of head on. It just gives you a chance to talk about things beforehand that bother you, that maybe on the day you might not want to say because you're sort of rabbit in the headlights. So definitely makes a big difference to try and schedule maybe a Zoom call or something like this, where you can just sort of get to know each other a little bit and feel a little bit more at ease before you meet somebody.
All of that helps all the unknown become known, that you know the type of person that you are. And you know, there's nobody that's ever met you, Amanda, that hasn't, one, fallen in love with you, two, felt so comfortable and had fun, but three, actually said, this is what I hear so much, is that they go, I've never liked a picture of myself until I had a photo shoot with Amanda, and actually I like these pictures. And that's like a massive, for some of these people, they'll like cut themselves out of family photos because they hate the way that they look so much, and they're actually going, oh, I might frame this.
And the thing about that is it's not just photo, it's not the, oh my gosh, all I need is one. It's actually they fall in love with a set of photos that are assets in the business, and that's really why we brought you on in the first place, because we want to make sure that as speakers, authors and coaches, you have a set of assets that you can use to go out and be the change makers that you are, and photography makes a massive difference to that, right?
So I know that there's people here saying great tips, Amanda, etc. If people want to find out, people are now going to want to see some of your pictures, right? So I put the link into your Facebook group, which I think has got most of where you're sharing a lot of your stuff, right?
On the Facebook page.
Yeah, Amanda Clarke Photography.
Yes, yeah, brilliant, yeah.
And they can go and check you out on there, and then they can, how do people work with you? Do they have that exploration call first? How does it work?
Yeah, so generally I would speak to someone and find out what they're looking for. As I said before, I do from sort of a basic headshot day shoot where people can come to me. The great thing about that day is I usually have a makeup artist here for the whole day. So if you book one of those shoots, we've already got the luxury of someone here to look after your hair and makeup on the day. To longer shoots when I would work with someone just one-to-one. So there's all sorts of options, but yeah, always ready to sort of chat and find out what you need, what's right for everybody it's something different.
Yeah, I get that completely. And the bit that I like the most if you go to Amanda's is the fact that you get to meet Teddy, who he's
actually barking to come in. I don't know.
Can Teddy come on? Teddy is like, he's always in Amanda's photo shoots. I saw him with Simon Jordan on the sofa in between them both. Hey, Teddy!
I don't know if I can just go down enough to say.
You can see his bum. But that's the beauty, is that you know, you've got some gorgeous shots of my dog, Royston. You've got some gorgeous shots. Teddy gets involved in the photo shoots.
It's great. and again, I think that's the whole point. So if I was to summarize this, it's about knowing where you want to put things, having a plan, asking the questions, gathering it in, preparing yourself, and just actually having fun and being at ease on the day.
Because these photos are going to work for you. They are your impression out in the world that people are looking at, getting a feel for you as a speaker or for a coach. Are they my style? Are they that personality type? Do they feel like a person I want to trust and work with? This is the chance of you getting that across.
Which is really good, and you do it so beautifully. So thank you.
Thank you for having me.
And Daisy's just come on. She just said it's been ages. So we've just been talking, Daisy, all about colour therapy and style, and that's exactly what Daisy does. She's a stylist.
Brilliant.
I should connect Amanda actually, because I'm sure you can do loads of work together. She's just
definitely.
It's brilliant. All right, my darling.
Thank you so much for this.
Thank you.
We'll see you in the hub.
Yeah, see you there. Bye.
Bye.